Hello folks, shintigercurl here, that dude in the straw hat, bringing you yet another wrestling video. Well, tonight was the final Raw before Fastlane, the final pay-per-view event before WrestleMania. So, what did it do in building up the event? Well, it did alright, mostly because Dean Ambrose. I want to go on record and say that Dean Ambrose right now is my favorite wrestler on the main roster. Why? Because he's the most consistent person on the entire roster. He consistently brings his A game, whether it be in promos or in in-ring work. I mean, he did a parody of the Saturday Night Live weekly and weekend update, which is pretty cool, as sort of a callback to the recent Saturday Night Live 40th anniversary special that took place last night. But anyway, he had a great match with Luke Harper. Matter of fact, he's been having a lot of great matches with former Intercontinental Champions. This is the way you build up a feud for a belt like the Intercontinental Championship, because, how do I put this? It gives more credibility to Ambrose as a challenger. I mean, he's pretty much set his intention of going after the Intercontinental title, which is held by Bad News Barrett, another favorite of mine. Now, Barrett hasn't been looking very strong because, well, he's been losing to people he shouldn't be losing to, like Sin Cara. Why is he losing to Sin Cara? I don't know. But I hope that it doesn't diminish his overall impact on the wrestling scene. But anyway, Ambrose wants to make Bad News Barrett sign a contract for a match at Fastlane for the Intercontinental title. B ain't having that shit. So he has a match against Damien Mizdow, and Miz is trolling him throughout the entire match. And after he won, or Barrett won, after Barrett won, Dean Ambrose, the new innovator of the sneak attack, comes in there and attacks him, then ties his hands around a post with some flexi cuffs and makes Barrett sign the contract, which is pretty hilarious. This was actually one of the best contract signings I've ever seen. Sure, most contract signings that we know of end in brawls, but this one was actually pretty civil for what it was. I mean, sure, Dean Ambrose kind of attacked Barrett from behind, but he's crazy, so what can you do? Another thing to note, Triple H came out to respond to Sting's response to his challenge to face him at Fastlane, which resulted in the Nature Boy coming out, and we getting a little history lesson from old Nature Boy Ric Flair. So this was an okay segment, but it could have been better. Honestly, it could have been better. Like I said, there's not really much to talk about in terms of a lot of things. But the main thing I want to talk about is the match, in the leading up to the match with Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. Now, I know what the WWE are trying to do. They're trying to paint Daniel Bryan in a heel light, which you can't do. Daniel Bryan is the most over face in the WWE. There is no way on God's green earth that, short of kicking the Pope in the balls or kicking John Wick's puppy to death, are the WWE fans going to turn on Daniel Bryan. Hell, if they do decide to turn him heel, the fans will just rebel against it and just cheer for him anyway. But I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to make Roman Reigns look strong, and tonight did not do any favors for him. For one thing, he gave an interview that was slow and prodding, and well, it just showcased once again why he's not ready to main event WrestleMania, let alone get a title shot against the one-man crime spree that is Brock Lesnar. His promo work is, on some cases, average. On other cases, like tonight, it was terrible. Terrible. So anyway, the Authority, in their infinite wisdom, or Vince in his infinite wisdom, decides that in order to book these guys as strong, we'll have them wrestle the same guys that they wrestled last week. Again. In that case, Roman Reigns faced off against Kane. I'm sorry, I'm so used to Roman Reigns and Big Show facing off against each other, it kind of just popped in. I mean, you understand, right, guys? You understand. So it was Kane versus Roman Reigns. Daniel Bryan is out there on commentary. Now, despite how he looks, Daniel Bryan is actually okay on the mic. He is solid. He ain't like CM Punk or The Rock levels of promoship, but he's not bad. He says enough in such a way that you can get behind him and understand what he's saying. And throughout the entire match, he's leading a yes chant, which visibly annoys Roman Reigns. Reigns only picks up the win by count out. Yeah. So let me get this straight. Roman Reigns couldn't beat Kane, a guy who got ran over by the WWE champion Brock Lesnar just a few days before the Royal Rumble match. And this is the guy that you're trying to make me believe is a challenge for Nature's Perfect Predator. He couldn't beat Kane by pinfall or submission, so he had to only get a bitch win and a countout. Countout victories don't really count. They count as a win, but anybody can get a countout victory. It's a bitch win. It doesn't make Roman look strong. Now, on the reverse, Daniel Bryan faced off against Big Show in the main event. Roman Reigns came down there. Thankfully, they did not give him any headsets to wear, so we didn't have to hear his prodding pageantry of paleness on the microphone. But instead, you know what they have him do? He wanders around the ringside, taking selfies with fans, giving autographs, and throwing out merch. If you need to get a guy over by giving out free shit so the fans will cheer for him, you are doing it wrong. And for some reason, Daniel Bryan found this distracting. But nevertheless, Daniel Bryan wrestles a very long match against the Big Show. He takes a lot of punishment, but you know how Daniel Bryan is. He can take it, and he can give it as well. There's a botched spot where Daniel Bryan leaps through the ropes. Big Show tries to catch him, and Michael Cole says, "Oh, he caught him in midair." No, he did not. Yeah, that's making botchamania. Trust me, I can call this kind of shit. So anyway, he kind of gets thrown into, well, I wouldn't say thrown into Roman Reigns, more like lightly shoved into Roman, and they start a little pushing match, and Big Show spears, well, I'm not going to call what Big Show does a spear, more like a running hug, because that's all it is. It's a running hug. It is no, Goldberg does better spears. Rhino does better spears. Also, welcome back, Rhino. But anyway, Daniel Bryan takes him back into the ring, and he is beating his ass, and it looks like he's going to hit a Cena killer, what I call his running knee, until Roman Reigns comes in and Superman punches him, giving Big Show the DQ win. This makes Roman Reigns look like an asshole, and that is bad for your supposed next babyface, your next John Cena. So, and also, someone else brought up a good point. My friend Alex, well, I wouldn't say friend, colleague Alex, on the CBR Wrestling forums, commented that Roman Reigns, that last week on SmackDown, Reigns and Bryan were put together in a tag team turmoil match where they pretty much had to go through every major tag team in the WWE right now, which is about 5 or 6 teams. Alex pointed out correctly that in that 45-plus minute matchup, Reigns didn't spend that long in the ring, but Daniel Bryan was spending the majority of the time in the ring, with Reigns coming in only on hot tags. This does not make Reigns look good. He didn't wrestle as long as Bryan. If he could wrestle as long as Bryan, then that would build him up as a stronger, more credible threat. Unfortunately, Reigns is sorely lacking in both in-ring ability, mic work, and charisma. I'm not saying he sucks, but he is sorely lacking in this regard. As I said before, if he was being pushed for a mid-card title like the U.S. title or the Intercontinental title, he'd be perfect for it because he's at a level that he's mid-card. But right now, as he is, he's a mid-card guy thrown into the main event. That's not a good place for him to be. As me and my friend Iron Twister, what's up Iron, said on the forums while we were talking about this, I brought up Sheamus. Now, a lot of people don't remember Sheamus' very first title run where he beat John Cena in a tables match. He didn't look all that credible. I mean, when Sheamus was first starting out, he looked like shit. I did not like him. His moves weren't interesting. His gimmick wasn't particularly interesting. He wasn't very good on the mic, and he gassed it out a lot. His cardio was abysmal. Now look at him. His second and third title runs were markedly better. He's had great runs with the Intercontinental and the U.S. title. He's marginally better on the mic. His cardio is such that he can go 30 minutes against guys like Bad News Barrett and Antonio Cesaro. He can pull off some great fucking matches. He's pulled off a great fucking match with Daniel Bryan. But see, this is the thing. Sheamus actually grew up. He evolved to a level where he needed to be in order to be considered a genuine mid-carder to main event level talent. Because he worked on himself. Unfortunately, Roman Reigns has had not the time nor the chance to elevate himself to that level, and now he's suffering for it. Now keep in mind, I don't hate Roman Reigns. He has a lot of potential. He comes from a family of amazing, amazing athletes. The Usos, Rikishi, High Chief Peter Maivia, Yokozuna, The Rock. So he has the potential. The problem is, he hasn't lived up to that potential yet, and he is thrown into the deep end with the sharks, and while he's still just a salmon. He hasn't evolved yet. He hasn't had enough experience points in order for him to evolve to the next stage. Right now, he is still a Charmander. He's still a Charmander. He needs to work his way up to a Charizard. He has the potential to be a Charizard, but right now he's just a Charmander. He's not even a Charmeleon yet. Pokemon shit right there. But yeah, tonight did not do him any favors. So, and not to mention, they had a very, very good brawl, Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. But this just pointed out the difference between them. Roman Reigns was beating on Daniel Bryan, who had just come off a 20-plus minute match with the Big Show. And yet he just kept coming. So let me get this right. You can't keep a guy who's half your size down on the ground after he had spent 20-plus minutes wrestling against the biggest fucking guy in the company. And you expect me to believe, and the WWE expects me to believe that this guy can beat a guy who destroyed John Cena in the most one-sided title match in professional wrestling history? I'm supposed to believe this guy can do it? You're doing it wrong, Vince. You're doing it wrong. But I tell you what they are doing right. John Cena might be returning to his old days as the Doctor of Thugonomics. For those of you too young to know, there was a time when John Cena was the most badass mofo that WWE ever had. He spit rhymes like nobody's business and threw packs of peanuts because his opponents didn't have any nuts. They needed to choke on these nuts. But yeah, I miss the Doctor of Thugonomics, not this hustle, loyalty, respect person. I want the old John Cena back. Wear the big ass chain and come out into word life. That's what I want. So yeah, those are just my basic thoughts about what's going on, what happened with Raw. But I'm going to say this. I'm calling it right now. Barrett Ambrose is going to steal the show. I know the two men involved. I know their work ethic. They're going to bust ass in that match. So I expect nothing but good things from that match. All the other matches on the card, my interest is meh. That may change in a couple of days. I don't know. Get back to me on that. But yeah, that's my whole take on the Go Home show before Fastlane. Tune in later this week if I'm feeling up to it for several of the reviews. What they are, what they're going to be, you never know. If you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe at the bottom. Have any questions? Leave them in the comments section. If you want to just talk about wrestling, you know what to do. So until next time, this is shintigercurl, that dude in the straw hat, saying good night. And you're doing it wrong, Vince. You're doing it wrong.